Today I'm going to be trying to explain why Season 1 Chapter 3 just does not work. I've played Fortnite since Season 2 Chapter 1 and I've never played this little in a season. I can tell you now, this is my least favourite season of all time. Now, let's get into why. Real quick, just before the video starts, make sure to use code Ripire in the items shop to help support the channel in the most direct way possible. Let's start off with the obvious. The SMGs in this season are the most broken we have ever seen. Hands down the most broken. And yes, I'm taking into account the Day 1 drum gun and the rapid fire SMG in Season 9, as well as many of the other broken guns like the P90 in Season 5. I already know about those, don't tell me in the comment section. But I'm still telling you, this is the most broken SMG we have ever seen in our game. Currently, this SMG is basically an AR shotgun and an SMG all in one. It does not matter what rarity it is. It can shoot through walls every time on normal ping. What I mean by that is if you're in creative and someone's holding a wall and you're spraying it with the SMG, it won't penetrate through the wall. It will hold like it should. But if you go into a normal game like you're seeing me do here in a custom game, it will go straight through and you can kill the man through the wall while he's turbo building. This is obviously not what's meant to happen, but for some reason it's been allowed to happen, and Epic Games just don't want to fix it. Starting off with the most fundamental of problems with the SMG, it has way too high of a fire rate. It can just shoot straight through walls, as I've just said, but it also has a lot more ammo than previous SMGs, so it can shoot for longer. Shooting faster, shooting for longer makes it very, very deadly. It also has a really strong body damage, but even better headshot damage by a substantial amount. Now, this is normally not the case with SMGs. It doesn't normally have this high of a multiplier, but for some reason, it's only been buffed since the season's gone on. It's already had a better reload speed and more consistent reload animations. It doesn't seem that Epic Games want to nerf this SMG. They seem to like this spray meta we're going into. So the way I'd fix this SMG is extremely simple. For one, nerf the fire rate. Lower it down so it can't shoot through walls even if they have a terrible ping. And the second thing, you're probably not expecting this, increase the reload time. That means that you have to then switch to another gun instead of just rapidly reloading this SMG. That is by far the best options I have. Yes, you could lower the body shot damage, but then people probably wouldn't use it. As long as the SMG can't shoot through walls and it takes longer to reload, I feel like it would be a lot better balanced. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room that I've seen no one talk about, and that is the amount of materials in this season. This goes hand in hand with the brokenness of the SMG and AR, because that means if you're trying to combat the SMG or AR in the mid to early game, you cannot do so, because if you're trying to hold a wall, the bullets will bleed through and you're only wasting materials, which means that you have nothing to then try and protect yourself and get away, disengage, heal up, and then go back into the fight. You cannot do that. If you get beamed, you are dead, because they will keep pushing you and you can do nothing about it, and you cannot escape, and you cannot run away with launch pads or Spider-Mans. Trust me, I've tried. If Epic Games just made it easier to get materials, maybe increasing the multiplier per hit by 1.25 or so, it would mean that you get more materials per hit like you do in Arena, and you can get more materials to try and run away and disengage. It's not a given you'll survive, I highly doubt you will, but at least makes it feel like you have a chance. And when you're taking a fight, you can actually build to more than 2 stories before getting knocked out or just destroyed or run out of materials and fall to your death. I feel like this is a stupid thing that should not have been changed. It was perfectly balanced in previous seasons. I don't know why they've changed this. Now let's continue on this theme for a second and go and explain the only 3 ways you can actually disengage in a fight this season. You have number 1, the Spider-Man Mythic, which there's only 30 per game. Every game there's 30, a flat number, 30 Spider-Man Mythics. There's number 2, a launch pad, which is unlimited of in theory, but you don't know where they are, where they're going to spawn, completely random, no skill involved. And number 3, cars/mobility and vehicles. Very, very unlikely you're ever going to use that because it's just dreadful. Now let's start off with the Spider-Man, because you may think I really enjoy this because of how good it seems to disengage from fights. And while I'll give you that, it does help a little bit, it still does not guarantee you a disengage at all. Not when there's good players with 100% accuracy ARs everywhere. But my biggest problem with Spider-Man Mythic is only 30 people can get it, and even though that seems like a high amount, If you don't have it, you're at a significant disadvantage, an absolutely enormous disadvantage. If that's rotating to storm, rotating out of a fight, or trying to take high ground easily. And then you can therefore save materials, because you're not using materials to do all these things, which then goes hand in hand with combating SMGs. It's a full cycle thing, and now you're seeing the way that this season's working. If you have the Spider-Man, you don't have to use materials. If you have materials, you can combat the SMG. But if you have an SMG and the Spider-Man and materials, you can combat anyone. So here's how I'd fix it. Either have a boss that you have to combat like in every other mythic you've ever had to own, and take down that boss and then you get the Spider-Man mythic, or let it spawn in chests, ammo boxes, and spawn anywhere, and anyone can guarantee to get it, and then they choose whether or not to pick it up. That is how you fix the Spider-Man. The next thing is the launch pads. They're just really simple. I mean, you just can't get away with the launch pad anymore. You try and disengage the launch pad, you're getting beamed out the air or chased down with Spider-Man. Nothing you could do there. And if you use the car, you're going to get beamed, blown up, or chased down with a Spider-Man. Now for the big one. The one you've probably expected me to talk about first, but I've left it to third because I feel like this is something that I really need to make a heavy point about. And that is the shotguns. The shotguns this season are diabolical. I cannot say how much I hate these shotguns. They are the least satisfying, least powerful, unbalanced shotguns I've ever seen in Fortnite's history. What do I mean by that? I mean the striker pump shotgun and the auto shotgun are the worst two shotguns we've ever seen in a Fortnite meta. Neither of these shotguns are any good. I wouldn't recommend them to anyone. Just pick an SMG. But if you made me pick one, I'd pick up the striker pump. But even then, I would use the SMG more, because this striker pump is ridiculously weak. If you make a good play, a smart edit, and you go for that headshot that you should one-shot them, you'll be lucky to hit a 60 damage headshot, at which point they'll spray through your wall with an SMG and kill you, because you're powerless to do anything against it. The striker pump has a worse fire rate than the pump. It also feels more clunky, and it also does a substantial amount less damage. I'm not even going to talk about the auto shotgun. If you want my opinion on that, I would just recommend using a pickaxe instead. Just leave that thing on the floor, use your pickaxe, and go swinging, mate. That's the best chance you have. So why is a bad shotgun meta bad for the game? Well, it's really simple. If I've been sprayed out of the blue, someone's AR'd me from 300 meters away with a MK7, and I need to heal. I box up, and I'm trying to heal. They Spider-Man over to me, and they're here within 3 seconds, spraying my door with an SMG. This is where you can turn the tide. When you had the pump shotguns in the game, all you had to do was time a well-placed shot on their head or body, and it will deal roughly 100 damage, point they'll have to then back away and heal up themselves. With the striker pump, not only is it harder to time and has a worse fire rate, if you do somehow hit them, it will not do enough damage to make them back off. They will keep spraying in, and you will die. In contrast, it makes it nearly impossible to pull off 1v2s or 1v3s, because with that many people pushing at you, you need to quick dead one of them to then try and focus on the other two. But you cannot do that with this gun. It has not got the putting down power. It can only just about manage to kill one person with one magazine. Therefore, the way I'm going to fix this gun is, for one, upping the headshot multiplier, making a perfect gold striker pump to exactly 200 damage, and all the other renditions be bumped up on the damage scale as well, but also making its fire rate the same as the pump, and increasing its magazine size to 6 pellets and not 5. This makes 2v1s, 1v3s, whatever you want to do, a lot more accessible, and you can actually try and pull them off again. Otherwise, you're going to get sprayed to death. Let's talk about the ARs this season. We have the two ARs this season, the Ranger Assault Rifle and the Mark 7 Assault Rifle. Now, these two ARs are pretty opposite. I'd say one is probably one of the most balanced we've ever had in the game, and the other is probably the most broken we've ever had in the game. Let's start with the most balanced. The Ranger Assault Rifle has high damage, relatively low recoil, a decent zeroing time to 100% accuracy, low magazine size at 25 bullets, and cannot shoot through walls. However, its bigger brother, the Mark 7 Assault Rifle, which is way better, is the exact opposite. It has 100% accuracy all the time when you're aiming in. It has the ability to bleed bullets through walls similar to the SMG. It has 10 bullets more than the Ranger Assault Rifle in its magazine. And although it does less damage per shot, it has a faster time to kill because of its accuracy and its AR fire rate. It is just very controllable recoil. All it is vertical recoil, which is very easy to predict and use. So therefore, I believe this gun needs massively tweaking. Now, Epic Games have already tried adjusting this gun slightly already by making its hip fire a bit worse, but that's not what needs to change. It needs to be very thorough what needs to change. You need to lower the fire rate. I know, it's a big one. It needs to have a lower fire rate, because otherwise it could shoot through walls like the SMG. So lower the fire rate, that's already a big nerf to this gun. But you also need to increase the recoil. Not massively, I'm not talking massively, I just mean increase it in a way that's not just vertical. Make it go horizontal a little bit more unpredictable, so you can tap fire it instead of just full auto spray from distances that no AR should be able to kill from. And that's how I'd adjust the ARs. I'd leave the Ranger assault rifle alone and just change the MK7. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the Rarity. There is no way for good players to get good guns consistently this season. So the only way to get good guns is completely luck. You open chests or you buy them from a vending machine that could have them. Now, the way to fix this is very simple, and it's been in the game for a very long time now, and that is upgrade stations. There are upgrade stations in almost every POI. All you have to do, Epic Games, is lower the threshold to upgrade your guns with gold. Instead of it being 400 gold to go from blue to purple, make it 150 or 100. It is way too high right now, and I don't feel like you should be punished for spending gold that you earned. In addition, I believe they should add the ability, similarly to Chapter 2 Season 2, where you could use materials to upgrade your guns instead of just gold. So you can use 300 wood instead of 300 gold or something like that. It's harder to get the wood, but then you could just replenish it afterwards as many times as you like, or you could just quickly get the gold and save your materials. It's then an option, and it also allows upgrading to be put into competitive. A really balanced way to do it, Epic Games. Lastly, I'm going to be talking about the challenges this season. This season's challenges are just as bad as the other previous 2 seasons' challenges, which means they're really heavily fetch questy. You have to go around the whole map, collecting random items, talking to random people, or interacting with random things. And what your rewards are absolutely nothing. You get 20,000 XP per challenge, maybe even less, which is absolutely diabolical for the amount of time and the amount of games you waste doing this. It's not fun and it's not rewarding. You need to up the amount of XP you get from this, or add more interesting challenges that you could do more conveniently instead of having to go to obsolete locations trying to interact with a random piece of dirt on the floor. Instead, maybe just do eliminations at this location like you used to be able to, or get kills using this gun, or do this, do that, travel distances, or something like that. Something that doesn't hinder your entire game just to do one challenge that you only get 8,000 XP for. Well, that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you can understand where I'm coming from this video. It's a really painful season for me to play, and therefore I've barely played it since the first 3 weeks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please get Epic Games to look at this, and hopefully they take on my advice. I hope to see you soon, guys. Goodbye.